Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, audience discretion is advised. Welcome back to Travelers on the Omnibus, a field trip through nerd and pop culture. My name's James McCarthy.
I'm Ethan Skinner.
I'm Brady Davis.
I pointed at Brady.
I did not see where you pointed.
I pointed literally like that. Check your eyes.
I wear glasses for a reason, Jay.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Absolutely.
I think I did the same thing last time, so it's okay.
Yeah, okay. Later on this evening, we will be going through our second movie of the month for Ghibli July, The Tale of Princess Kaguya. But as of right now, Brady, what have you been up to, brother?
Got a Kickstarter that came in, the third season of Batman Gotham City Chronicles.
Nice.
Which is a one versus all game, but with this I got a solo co-op mode. Got a like campaign thing, and then some other little things that really. So I got the first season of Gotham City Chronicles like several years ago, and it's a cool game. It's just like there were some little things in the game that made it a lot harder to play and not as fun, and the rule book was pretty bad. So with this season you got like an updated rule book and an updated book of like the missions, because it's all like preset missions and things like that. They got like cards that now you can just give them. Okay, you're playing Batman. Here's all of Batman's abilities. This clearly explains what Batman can do, instead of having to like, oh, here's this symbol. What the fuck does this symbol mean? Let me go look it up in this book.
Have they reworked the line of sight stuff? Because that was also annoying.
They have made it so it also comes with like of every map. It comes with a giant sheet that says, okay, here's all this stuff, and then there's a really good app that you can just there's a QR code and you go to it, and I went to it a little while ago, and I think they like not long after the game came out they made this map, but you just pick that map and you go, okay, I'm here, where do I have line of sight to? And it immediately shows you, okay, you have line of sight to all these places.
That was the one that killed the game for me. And the fact that and I applaud them for taking steps to actually fix that. So I'm actually, you can't really hear from the sound of my voice right now, but I'm actually kind of excited about that, to tell you the truth.
It's a really cool game, and I spent a lot of money on it, so hopefully we can start playing it more. It's got a versus mode where you're playing, so the villain plays differently. It has this whole big contraption board thing, and all of your villain stuff is there's like cardboard cards that are in this like river, and you're activating, and the further along the river it takes more to activate them, and they just kind of move, and stuff moves down and everything like that. And what you can do with the versus mode is you basically, like, there's a scenario, and then you can create teams for that. So there's a good guy team and a bad guy team, and it's just, they have to be these types of enemy, so many types of this enemy and this enemy, and a couple of leaders and things like that. And that looks really fun. I'm hoping that sometime very soon I can get that played with somebody, because that I've heard that's a really good part of the game.
I've got an idea. This is a joke from Shut Up and Sit Down. When I get my Crokinole board,
okay,
we'll have a Crokinole and Chronicles night.
Oh, okay.
And so some people can play Crokinole, and then some people can play Batman's Gotham City Chronicles, and it'll be great. We'll have Crokinoles and Chronicles. It'll be great.
You find a way to incorporate one game into the other.
No. Unless we want to flick Batman across. Let me tell a quick story from the one time we've actually been able to play the game. So Bubba, friend of the show and of the shop, he had the offer. He could do one of two characters.
No, it wasn't Bubba. It was Roger.
No, it was Bubba, because Bubba had the choice between because we teased him about this. Bubba had the choice between Batman or.
No, this was Roger.
I swear to God it was Bubba, because we made fun of him for this.
It was Roger, because he was specifically up here because he wanted to play the Batman game because he likes Batman so much.
Right, but he would have chosen Batman. Bubba didn't.
Sure, whatever.
I swear to God it was Bubba.
I swear to God it was Roger.
Bubba chose Inspector Montoya or Detective Montoya and two Gotham City cops.
Because the way I remember it, I said, Roger, do you want to play Batman or Renee Montoya? And he wasn't paying attention. And he said, I don't care. It's whatever. So I said, ha ha, you're playing Renee Montoya because I think that's funny because you had a chance to play Batman.
Yeah. I think if that happened once and it happened again with Bubba as well.
We never played it again. We never got a chance to play it again.
I swear to God it was Bubba. I almost swear to God it was Bubba. That's why I took Jason Todd, because on that board was Jason Todd's minigun.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make sure I got to use that once.
Yeah, you could just use, he just stood up there and blew everybody away.
Well, specifically Bane.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a fun game. It just had a few problems, and I think that a lot of what they did fix those problems. So I'm hoping to get this played because, again, I spent a lot of money on it, so I want to play this a few times. And like it comes with so many scenarios, and they all play like they're all against a different villain. They're all, on different boards doing different things. So I'm really looking forward to playing that, to getting that played. Also, one of my favorite shows from the last few years had its season 3 come out, and that is The Bear. For those who haven't watched it, The Bear is it's a really great show. It's about this guy who worked in this like the best restaurants in all of the world, and he comes back to Chicago because his brother committed suicide and left him their family business, which is this sandwich shop in Chicago, and it's super chaotic, and they're constant there, and they're all, and the place is completely underwater, and he's got all this familiar trauma that he's dealing with the death of his brother. And some spoilers, but the first season was him about dealing with the restaurant, and then they decide to kind of close that restaurant and start like an upscale dining restaurant. And the second season is all about them like getting everything together to make that. And then the third season is about them like running it, and there's also a lot of like filling in some like background with this. And it's a really good show. It's hilarious at times, but it's also like really poignant at times. It's a very stressful show. There's an episode in the first season that takes place almost entirely as one shot, where all hell breaks loose, and it is just like one of the most stressful things you've ever watched. There's an episode in the second season that is a family Christmas dinner, and it is also one of the most stressful things that you have ever seen. But yeah, it's a really, really good show. Everybody is great in it. Jeremy Allen White, you might know him from Shameless. He's the main character. Ayo Adebri plays Sydney, his kind of right-hand man, who she like, in the first season, she is basically she's a chef, and she knows, and she finds out that he's back and he's running this place, and she's just like, hey, I want to work here. It's really interesting. Like, it's the discussions they have about food. All the characters are great. Like, there's no one who's like, oh, this is a terrible character. There are characters that you might not like in the beginning, but you're going to end up liking them before if you watch all 3 seasons. Like, it's a really, really great show. I think both times it's been like one of my top shows or my top show of the year. So check that out. I binged it in like 2 days. So yeah, because all of the episodes are on Hulu right now. I don't think they put them all out at one time last year, but yeah, it's a great show. Also, the project that I talked about last week, it's all done. And what it is what is it? 2 years ago we decided to do this thing, Jay.
I've got half of one done, and I still haven't touched yours yet. My apologies.
No.
Brother.
I have done the same thing.
Yeah.
Jason Holder, Jay, and I like swapped
Jason
models.
Holder of the Whiskey and Wrestling podcast.
From each of our respective models of armies that we own from Age of Sigmar, and we said, hey, we're going to swap these, and we're each going to paint them. And Holder, being a guy who is like, hey, I like painting, and I can do it pretty quickly. Like within the week, he gave us both back our models, and
painted quickly to a high quality.
Yeah.
I want to stress that second part.
Yeah, they both look good. To this right now, it's the only thing that I have painted in my Zinch army. Yeah, Jay and I, we just said no. We're going to take forever.
For me, it's the perfectionist streak in me, because if something doesn't look absolutely perfect, I have to fiddle with it for like 5 hours.
And for me, it's just getting started with something. Once I get started with something, I can work through it. But and so these 2 models have been kind of a fucking albatross around my neck. Every time I went to paint something, I was like, oh, I have those 2 models of my 2 friends that I need to get done because we did this like 2 fucking years ago, and I still haven't done it. So I finally completed both of them. Jay gave me a Corn Slaughter Priest, and Holder gave me, I believe it was the champion model for the Twin Souls in Heed Knights of Slanesh.
Yes. I love that mirror effect that you put on his I don't know what his icon up at the top.
Thing that was super simple. That was super
still looks absolutely fabulous.
I thought about adding more to it, but I was like, I don't want to fuck it up. And
that when I was painting the Hulk for Crisis Protocol and I got the eyes good on the first shot, I was like, well, I could nope. I kept looking at it and I was like, oh, I could kind of go over with some like a white or something, like some kind of white or something like that, and put a little bit more definition. But then I was like, I feel like I'm gonna fuck it up, and there's not gonna be an easy way to fix it. So yeah, and I had this idea in my head where I was like, okay, well, it's Khorne and Slanesh, and if you know anything about the Chaos Gods, those two hate each other. They absolutely hate each other. So I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I put a little bit of Khorne in the Slanesh model and a little bit of Slanesh in the Khorne model? So what I did was on their models, whenever there was like, so Slanesh is generally like purple, Slanesh is purple, and then Khorne is red. So anywhere where I put red on the Khorne model, I did shading with a purple color. And it didn't come out like super obvious that it was purple. So I also went on like all his spikes and stuff like that on his like legs. I made those like a purple tint as well. And then wherever there was purple on the Slanesh model, I tinted that in red. That came out where it was a little bit, and it was just because it's purple and red. Like there's no, it's harder for them to both be shown, but it's whatever. But yeah, they worked out really well. I also did a little thing where I found this skin tone recipe in a I think it was the Wrath of the Everchosen book, where I basically made Jay's Slaughter Priest look like Kratos. I thought that was cool because the model is it's a big buff dude that's bald. So I was like, oh, that looks like Kratos. So let me just make that Kratos because this is cool. And it was a really easy like skin tone. Like it wasn't, it was a use a contrast paint and then highlight over it, and that was it. But it worked out really well. It was really fun to paint. To do the highlights for that model because he's like really like muscular, and when you're highlighting muscles, that's like really fun because it's really defined as to what is okay. It is very easy for me to see this needs to stay shaded and this needs to highlight, and this is how the muscle moves, so this is where I need to put the highlight and stuff like that. So it's all like very fun to do something like that. But I like how both of the models turned out. They're definitely like, it reminded me that Age of Sigmar models are much more difficult than something like a Shatterpoint or a Crisis Protocol model. But now that that's done, so I have that off my back. So I'm really proud of that, and I finally worked out with both of those. So that's really cool. And the last thing I wanted to talk about real quickly is I started a new book. If anybody listens to this, they know that one of my favorite authors is Brandon Sanderson, and I started one of his books, The Lost Metal. This is Mistborn Era 2, which takes place like hundreds and hundreds of, probably thousands of, no, I think it's a few hundred years after the first trilogy of books, and this is the last one in this series, and kind of wrapping up all of the characters that we've been following in this one. So it's very interesting. Definitely don't jump into it. If this is like your first outing, go back and read the original Mistborn, The Lost Empire. Start with that one. The Last Empire, I'm sorry. But yeah, this one's pretty cool. He's doing a good job of like playing all the hits, but not having it feel pandering. Like, oh shit, all of these characters that you knew, here's some of them back again, and here, and oh, that's cool. And it's tying in with some other stuff that's in his whole universe, so that's cool. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Meanwhile, Rothfuss does nothing.
Yeah, guys, he's never gonna write a third book. He wrote another novella.
Okay.
In that world, but like I can't even make myself read it because it's just like you're not fucking doing shit. Like what the fuck?
So our friend Eddie Camper, he has a his current user profile pic that he uses for stuff is him holding 2 lobsters, one in each hand, and that always reminds me of the picture of George R.R. Martin with the lobster bib on, with his lobster cracking claws ready to go, and like. Because that's all George R.R. Martin I know does right now is do fantasy football and eat lobster and not finish wins the winner.
Yeah,
we've been burned over.
He has his priorities.
We've been burned over long form, multiple novel authors that never finished their stuff.
Yeah,
Frank Herbert, Robert Jordan. Yeah, one day, but today ain't that day, unfortunately.
When he finishes his 40,000 lobsters, he will finish the book.
He will die first. Like I've.
Do you think that's how he'll change up like the last book? Instead of like White Walkers, it's just a giant truckload of lobsters.
It's man, if he doesn't die, if he does not die before that last book, he might get the second to last book out before he dies. But I just do not see him living.
Do you think they'll call upon Brandon Sanderson again to finish somebody else's stuff?
Imagine, if you will, someone sitting upon the Iron Throne. The throne starts to shift. You realize you're sitting on tens of hundreds of lobsters.
Yeah,
they were lobsters all along. It'd be great. Well, moving away from that issue, whatever that was, Ethan, what have you been up to, brother?
Unfortunately, I haven't had that much of a busy and eventful week as Brady has.
Some might call that a good thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
Depending, like boring weeks are very good for recuperating.
I wouldn't say it's boring. It's more so about like a combination of work, house chores, and then the very little time I have to myself to do what I want. But however, in that time, I've started playing a new game, which I feel like I talk about every other week of just bouncing off of games.
That's the life now. Like between whenever there's a Steam sale, like you can get a whole which I think the summer sale is going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
With PlayStation and Xbox, you can just like if you've got the passes, you can just get a whole bunch of free games.
Exactly.
And Nintendo just is Nintendo.
Mm-hmm. But until Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom comes out, I am currently playing Ghosts of Tsushima. For those of you that do not know, it came out in 2020 for PlayStation. I'm pretty sure.
I think it came out. I think it came out on the. It came out on the 4 and when 5 PS5. It came out on the 5.
PS5 upgrade. You are a samurai in feudal Japan, and you are defending the coastline when Mongolians start to invade your island. Unfortunately, you fail at first, but then you start to rebuild your confidence as a samurai, build your legend, and eventually overthrow the Mongolians that have taken your home. I'm having a lot of fun with it. A funny story about it, though. I got the game thinking, isn't this
Is this from?
I'm stroking.
I know. Stop it.
Isn't this the Souls-like game?
No, it's not.
Yeah, I realized
it's not Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
I got this
or
game
Elden
thinking
Ring.
It was Sekiro, and I'm like,
or Bloodborne.
This isn't really playing like a Souls-like, but I'm really enjoying it because it doesn't play like a Souls-like.
There you go.
But no, I'm not playing Sekiro. I'm playing Ghosts, and I'm having a lot more fun with Ghosts than I probably would have with Sekiro.
There's a Kurosawa mode.
I saw that.
Turns everything black and white. And I think it removes the HUD, right?
It removes the HUD. Everything's black and white.
I think it gives it like a like the little scratches, like
the
it's
film grain.
It
film
does.
grain, yeah.
And it is Japanese voice actors with English subtitles.
Yeah. I want to say a friend of mine was starting the game and he saw that you could do that and he was like, "No, I'm not doing that."
Yeah. I was thinking like, this is sick. Jody would. Where's Jody? I don't think we discussed that.
Well, I wasn't going to mention anything because the poor man is sick.
Oh, okay.
He has gone from right now. He's currently not a traveler. He's an erstwhile traveler.
We have him in quarantine in the back.
We will
of the
actually
bus.
be hearing from him later on the main topic because he sent in his thoughts on it. So.
Gotcha. But I'm setting up the game like, man, Jody would have loved this.
Jody's not dead, by the way. He's only under the weather.
Yes, he is still with us, quarantined in the back of the bus. That is me though.
We have a whole quarantine. This bus ain't that big.
It's more the way I see it.
It's large because we go anywhere. It's not that we have enough. We're kind of running out of space. We need to prioritize some stuff.
I more so see it.
We have to get rid of your Pokemon collection.
Cool.
All right, Pikachu, get that out. Pikachu. Oh, they're off the bus now.
I didn't like the low rat. Anyway.
We're gonna have to get rid of your Pal World also. Pal Worlds, goodbye.
I had fun with it.
As a sound with Pal. We're gonna have to get rid of Pebbles. Pebbles, come over here. Pebbles.
Now I'm gonna shoot you. Now I'm gonna shoot you.
Pebbles is off the bus now. That's what it is. But she's in an infinite yard where she can run all the time.
Jay, tell me what you've been doing before I decide to do some type of harm.
That is, and I mean this with the dearest sincerity, the most pathetic threat I've ever received in my life.
Just to go on and say what you've been doing.
Not a whole lot, much like you. It was kind of a boring week, but I'm glad for that. Us getting back into Marvel Champions, I'm starting to pick up some of the decks that I lapsed on. I've got McNarb's ordering me the Cyclops and the Wolverine decks because I like the idea of the friendly rivalry, sometimes not so friendly, between the two of them.
Both of them are really fun.
And when we played last week, I really liked the way Iceman played. I'd like to actually, so I'm going to be picking that deck up here soon as well. And I'm finally going to sit down and actually try some actual deck building. I'm going to start with Doctor Strange because I love Doctor Strange, and not just because he's OP though. He is OP, but he's also arguably, I think, top 2 favorite wizard of all time, behind Merlin, and it's actually a closer race than it ought to be.
I think his OP-ness is not as...
you said penis.
Yeah.
Come again?
That's what
it's
the penis
not
does.
as... it's overstated now because he was an early hero, so he did run over pretty much everything in that first cycle, including everything in the in that first the Rise of the Red Skull campaign.
Crimson Bands of Sidorak is one of the so he has a separate invocation deck that you always have access to the top card of, and then once it plays out. Now I've been meaning to ask you this: have we been doing this wrong? If you play out the invocation deck and reshuffle it, does that add an acceleration token? No, that one doesn't. Okay, no. But yet those effects are crazy.
He's really really strong, but people have overrated his OP-ness.
Please?
He's nope, it again.
Not gonna stop it.
Can you say it one more time?
People have been OP-ness.
Okay.
There've been some crazy shit that I've been reading where people are you could take just his invocation deck and his 15 cards, and you could play him with 25 basically blank cards that have nothing but the
wild resource.
Just a resource symbol on them, and still beat a whole lot of villains. And that's kind of been proven wrong. But he is a very strong character. He's probably one of the top 5 at the very least. But I think it got overstated because of how early he was and how strong he was against all of those. I think later stuff he's not quite as strong, but he's still that's not saying that he's not a good character. He's probably S tier, but people have been talking about him he's S plus tier.
I think where it comes from, he's 2 things you want in any kind of in a competitive card gaming sense. Even though this is a cooperative game, he is versatile. You can throw him against pretty much anything, and he's also reliable. That invocation deck makes him extremely reliable. You know what's coming up.
Yeah.
And I think, especially if you get his Cloak of Levitation, which allows him to ready again, you can pull off 2 invocations off of that thing.
If you get Wong out, where you can actually semi control that, where you're just discarding. I don't want this. Let me discard that. Then he becomes super super powerful, especially playing in something like leadership, where you can just throw out guys really strong allies to to just chump block for him, so he never has to worry about that.
Yep.
But yeah, he's a really strong character. He's like I said, I think he's probably one of the top 5 strongest characters, but I don't think he is the strongest. But he is a very strong character. I think it's just been a little bit overrated in that people have gotten like hyperbolic with how they've talked about him. But he is still a very, very good and strong character. One of the reasons I don't play him much anymore is because it is kind of too easy to win with him. But there are several characters that are kind of in that. It's just you have to think a little bit more with them than you do with him.
Okay.
So
very nice. And then the other thing, spoilers if you are intending to run the Saltmarsh campaigns from the Ghosts of Saltmarsh D&D book, although that book is almost more than 5 years because it was pre-COVID when it first came out.
It came out in 2019.
2019, so yeah, 5 years now. So, been running Friends in Ghosts of Saltmarsh, 3-man crew. We have a tiefling bard, we have a half-orc barbarian, and we have a human druid. And they finally made it to the ghost house, and they got spooked. They got spooked by a trap, and 2 of them had disadvantage on everything. And they went to fight a swarm of spiders, and they almost all lost. And that's bad. But then one of them got over there being scared, and then the bandits start attacking them. And one of them, the druid cut him along the chest with his scimitar, and then the barbarian came through, and Tiger Woods like drove his head 350 yards down the fairway, and that was pretty impressive. So we're having some good action time with it. They're hopefully going to be going deeper into the house here in the next session, in which case we get to have some fun. I get to introduce them to Michael McKellen Mickelmoss, the skeletal alchemist wizard, who cannot modulate the sound of his voice because he has no voice box because he's a skeleton, and all he wants to do is go after sea anemones. Yes. So yeah, that's pretty much there. And again, our erstwhile compatriot, Mr. Jody Kite. Jody, if you are listening to this, brother, please get well, and we will be hearing from you later on in the show.
Yes.
But yeah. And right now we have no feedback this week. However, passengers, as always, thank you for joining us on the bus. If you would like to leave feedback, travelers on the omnibus at gmail.com. Again, that is travelers, 1L, on the omnibus at gmail.com. Ethan, where can they find us?
I've been waiting for this. You can listeners can also take place in any and all polls that we have at the end of every single episode on Spotify.
Yes, we also take part in our Q&As, which again are available on every single show that we've got. Also, if you're enjoying what you're hearing and you'd like to share it with friends who do not listen to podcasts on the same avenues that you listen them to, we're available on YouTube Music, Amazon, Apple, and of course Spotify. I was hoping you were going to correct me to get back at me for the whole Pebbles kicking off the bus thing, but you didn't do it.
Yes,
Queen. Yes, Queen. Or yes, Princess, because, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be heading straight into our next and main topic. Our main topic tonight is the second film in our Ghibli July series, The Tale of Princess Kaguya from 2013, directed by Isao Takahata, the co-founder and really, I would say, co-father of Studio Ghibli. He was the original producer on Nazca of the Valley of the Wind and also Castle in the Sky. What is the there's a prefect to that one. It's something, a castle in the sky. Like I think it's the name of like Laputa, the castle in the sky. Yeah. I've been doing a lot of research, and thanks to the wonderful people at Kodansha who produced the Studio Ghibli The Complete Works. This was from, I believe, 2020 or 2021, right before or just after the release of Earwig and the Witch, which was the latest film from Studio Ghibli in that time frame. It has some great insights into all of the works from the Ghibli studios, and The Tale of Princess Kaguya is no exception. In fact, I'm about to read an excerpt from Isao Takahata in regards to The Tale of Princess Kaguya. Once upon a time, almost 55 years ago, a company called Toei Doga, now Toei Animation, planned an animated adaptation of The Tale of the Bamboo Cutter to be directed by the great Tomu Uchida. It didn't end up happening, but partly at Uchida's behest, the company performed a groundbreaking experiment. They asked all employees to submit plot ideas for the adaptation. A few of the best ones were selected and made into a mimeographed booklet. I did not submit anything. New hires who hoped to become producers or directors had been asked to submit proposals beforehand, so my proposal had already been rejected. Instead of adapting the story itself, I had written a prologue exploring the premise that this whole strange tale is based on, a scene of dialogue between the Moon King and Princess Kaguya before she leaves the lunar world. In the original tale, when Princess Kaguya tells the bamboo cutter she has to go back to the moon, she says, "I came to this land because of an ancient vow." And the messengers who come to bring her back say to the bamboo cutter, "Princess Kaguya committed a crime. So we sent her down to this land and left her here for a while in the keeping of lowly people like you. Her penance is over, and we've come to take her home." This is effectively the story of the tale of the bamboo cutter, but from Princess Kaguya's perspective on this. Again, this was a tale that was inside of Isao Takahata's head for 55 years, and he finally was able to get that made. This was the final film he directed for Studio Ghibli, Studio Ghibli. Just spoilers, I guess, here at the outset. Let's rip this Band-Aid off. It is a masterpiece, at least in my opinion. Is a masterpiece of all forms, from the artwork to the art, to the animation, and to the voice acting. I cannot speak for the Japanese cast, but this English dub cast, once again, just knocked it out. I want to.
It was pretty good, yeah.
Single out some people here. Princess Kaguya was done by Chloe Grace Moretz. This is the second time the umlaut has showed up in a Studio Ghibli production. We had Nausicaä last week, and now we have Chloe with her umlaut over her E. Darren Criss was Sutamaru, her boyhood or childhood friend. Darren Criss played in Glee, and he was the assassin of Gianni Versace in the movie about that, the one that you got the Emmy Award nomination for.
It was cool. The American Crime Story.
The American Crime Story, yes, thank you. The bamboo cutter himself was played by James Caan, which I think was absolutely perfect casting. And I want to say, out of all of the voice acting, I think he knocked it so close out of the park, in my opinion.
I didn't like him as much as the other people.
We can definitely go into that here in a little bit. But to finish up, the bamboo cutter's wife is Mary Steenburgen. You may know her as Clara from Back to the Future 3. Lucy Liu played Lady Sagami. I didn't realize, but George Segal played the person who names Kaguya. George Segal is the father on Just Shoot Me, which I thought he did a fantastic job as far as that goes. And the Emperor of Japan, a.k.a. the Mikado, is voiced by Dean Cain. Take with this information as you will.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah.
Also, it's actually kind of her suitors were also kind of a pretty good star-studded class. John Cho is in there. Beau Bridges, I believe, is in there. Daniel Day Kim, Oliver Platt, and James Marsden. All of them in there. But no, fantastic voice cast from top to bottom on this one.
Yeah. This is also this is Ghibli's longest movie at the time.
2 hours, 17 minutes.
Yeah, it was 3-4 minutes longer than Princess Mononoke. It was nominated for an Academy Award, but it lost to Big Hero 6.
I have a problem with that.
Yeah, it's not the great. Big Hero 6 is good.
It's a good movie, yeah, but nowhere near as evocative as this film is.
No. Takahata, for if you don't know, if all that you know is Ghibli movies, he also directed Grave of the Fireflies, Pompoko, Whisper of the Heart, I believe, right?
That not only yesterday.
No, because Only Yesterday came out after this.
Yeah. God, I can't remember now. But My Neighbors the Hamadas. Which has a similar art style. The Yamadas came out first. Yeah. And this is kind of a refinement of that style. And I think I would say a perfection of that style, because he also do from Up on Poppy Hill? I cannot remember.
I'm looking at it now.
I think he did. Oh, I don't know.
The earlier ones that I mentioned, he definitely did those. Yes. I know for those for a fact. But he was most people remember Studio Ghibli for Hayao Miyazaki movies, but he also did a whole bunch of Grave of the Fireflies is obviously his most well-known one. But it's impossible to watch. So at least legally,
not from you can't sit down and watch it emotionally. right now there's no easy access to Grave of the Fireflies unless you already have owned a DVD or some other sort of
none
disc.
of us have that, so we couldn't do that one.
Tell you the truth, I'm kind of glad of that. Not because I don't want to watch Grave of the Fireflies, but I've already seen it and I had not seen Kaguya up to this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely want us to do one that nobody had seen, and that's a small window, surprisingly, but there are a few of them out there. But yeah, he's like Jay said, he's like one of the he's the it's Miyazaki and Takahata, like those are the two big guys. And several other people have done Ghibli movies, but those are like the two most. It's
those are the two.
In Cody speak, it's 1A and 1B.
1B, yeah. Of course, we get the WWE somewhere in this. That's the way it is.
Well, he was in AEW when you said that.
Yeah,
so.
there you go. Well, it's now him he's now the star of the show over there.
Yeah.
I can't remember because I saw this line during the research process, and so I apologize that I can't quote it. But it was said that Takahata's influence on Miyazaki is the reason why Miyazaki didn't go into superhero comicry and went into the more thoughtful, more world knowledge, and kind of world ethic stuff, and especially in the early stages and even on through to now.
Yeah, they're really similar with like a lot of their themes, be it like environmentalism, nature, fighting back.
They met at Toei Animations. And work together for somewhere in the neighborhood of those 55 years.
And also like, hey, war is really, really bad.
Yeah, stop warring.
So let's not do that.
Stop the war.
Again, Grave of the Fireflies.
One of them was born as the war was going on, and one was born just after the war ended. Mm-hmm. Which I believe it was. Yeah, it was Takahata was born during the war, and then Miyazaki was born, I think, like the year after the war ended. And so
when they were still dealing with all the bullshit.
One of them could have easily seen those horrors, like the firebombing of Japan and things like that.
Well, I think that's why he did Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah.
'Cause he lived through a lot of it. So,
and probably had a lot of older friends who were just a little bit older that may have survived that and could have related those stories to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Brady, I would ask you to please start. Where do we start with Grave of the Fireflies?
Explain Grave of the Fireflies.
Explain Grave of the Fireflies before we go. War is bad. There we go. We're just going to move on for right now. That's the TLDR.
You want to watch children starve for 2 hours? Have fun.
Mm-hmm. Now, the Tale of Princess Kaguya, if you would.
So, the first thing that you notice from this is that it's very differently. Even like the other ones that Takahata has done, you can see like there's a Ghibli style that has been, it's been aped a lot. They've made whole video games where it's in that style. And this is definitely not it. This is like that, like the old Japanese paintings. It's like a watercolor looks.
Yeah. Like it to me, while I was watching it was like, okay, I'm just watching a watercolor painting move.
Mm-hmm.
To me, if I would have sat down not knowing name of the movie or anything like that, who produced it, I probably would not have guessed that this would have been Studio Ghibli.
Yeah. Those are the words that I actually used were moving paintings, which is I mean that should describe most animation, but it's different in this. It's that Japanese watercolor that I really love is the background motif of all this. It's so good. It's so good. Like the quality of every cell just screams like this is something that artisans came together and make. And it's not just Takahata. Takahata directed this, but you have that entire studio probably working on this to create this gorgeous imagery. And I can't say enough about it.
I said, this is one that you can't just watch it and be like, oh, that's a Ghibli movie. I can see this. Even like this, like 99% of their movies have a certain art style. It's not a bad art style. It's a very good art style, but it's definitely different. Like this definitely sticks out a lot. we start in a bamboo field, and we got the bamboo cutter, and he's cutting the bamboo.
The woodcutter.
Yeah, the woodcutter. They go back and forth between calling him a woodcutter and calling him a bamboo cutter. But yeah, the sound effects are like really, really good. I'll talk about some more sound effects as we get later in. But the sound effects are like really good of him like cutting down the bamboo. And he's just going about his job, and then all of a sudden
he sees a bamboo stalk just glowing.
Yeah, a bamboo stalk just fucking start glowing, and he's like, "Oh, okay, what's this?" And then
as he gets closer to it, the glow just starts.
Well, one like it sucks
sinks
down
into the ground.
Yeah,
and then a bamboo shoot sprouts. He's like, that's interesting. This is holy shit! It's growing really fast.
Yeah, there's a little girl in there, like that can fit in the palm of his hand.
Tiny person.
Yeah, and
what is the first thing he do? He takes it.
Yeah, he takes it. He's just like, okay, well, cool. I'll take the.
Look at this little princess that grew from a plant.
Yeah, like from jump, he's like, oh, this is a princess, and I'm like, sure, go on. But yeah, so he takes the little girl, and
he's admiring it.
Yeah. Like really, like. He saw some crazy shit, and he's just kind of rolling with it. It's amazing, but I don't think he's giving it the gravity of the situation. But he takes it home to his wife. They live just down the mountain a little bit,
like right next to the bamboo acres.
Yeah, right next to the bamboo acre. And he brings it home to the wife, and the wife is like, "Oh, what's this?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a little girl.
It's a princess.
Princess."
Like, that's an adorable little doll you have.
Yeah, and he's like, no, it's not a doll, it's a princess. And then the wife takes it, and then it just like changes into a baby.
It grows into a baby.
It just grows into a baby. Like, she's like, oh, okay.
This person wants me to raise it. How lovely.
The first thing running through my head, once it goes from the doll to the actual baby, the first thing I thought of was Superman.
Oh yeah,
like the Superman strange visitor from another world. Instead of a spaceship, it came out through a bamboo stalk.
Mm-hmm.
So it was okay. So there's the notion that something like this is not just unusual but miraculous, and there's something that should be. So I think the bamboo cutter falling in line with that kind of makes sense. Of like, oh, this is something amazing when we have to celebrate it, and we make sure everything's okay with it.
Yeah,
better than okay in ways he thinks they're okay.
So now they have a baby, and they're like, well, the baby needs milk, so we got to take her to a wet nurse. Mm-hmm. So they start taking her down. They live a little bit ways from like there's not really a village. It's just kind of like
more
there's
like a
houses.
Mountain pass.
It's like Van Cleve.
There's a
it's like Japanese Van Cleve.
Yeah.
There's a Ward's like 2 blocks down, but you gotta go through
the one place in Japan
forest.
that still has a Greer's.
They just got a Pizza Hut.
So yeah, they're taking the baby down, and as they're going, they keep going. Oh, it seems like she's getting bigger.
Yeah, they're crossing this bridge, and all of a sudden, the mom just stops.
Yeah,
she just stops walking.
Oh, what is this? Oh,
here, I need to breastfeed.
Yeah, she has milk.
I
all
literally
of a sudden.
thought you were going to say, "Wait, let me pull my titty out," because that's kind of like just
that's
that's
what she does.
Boom,
done.
I didn't see a nipple in a Ghibli movie on my bingo card.
Yeah.
But I guess I probably should have.
Multiple times.
She just whips it out and starts breastfeeding the baby. So they're like, well, I guess we don't need to go to the wet nurse. We
got this all on our own.
Yep.
And as they're going, she's still growing.
Yeah. She and like there's multiple like flowers blooming as they're walking. The baby's laughing and growing in size.
And then we cut to just a little bit later, like the baby's already like crawling. She's playing with these little frogs and learning how to hop.
That's why I like her. She's pro frog. So 10 out of 10
very pro frog.
Little side tangent. I was playing Ghost today, and on my way to one of the shrines, there was a statue of a frog, and there's like a little like signpost right next to it that says bow. If you swipe down on the touchpad, you can do a little bow. I bowed in front of the frog, and then swarm of frogs surround me.
Oh wow!
Did they attack you?
No, they're just like hopping around.
They found you worthy. That's good.
Yes,
that's good.
Yeah.
You have many great blessings from frogs. All right, continue.
so as she's doing this, she like follows the frog and like falls out the door of and falls outside.
The parents are like rushing outside.
Yeah, they freak out.
Our baby.
And for some reason, there's just a shitload of kids just like they're climbing on a tree, like
One
right
of them
in the air.
is just naked.
Yeah,
one of them is just naked.
There's a child naked all the time in this movie. Apparently that's how they did it in that era of Japan, where if you had a baby, they were just fucking naked all the time.
The parents, they rush over to the baby, and surprise, surprise, is standing on its own and holding one of the frogs.
Yeah, she's standing on her own, holding the frog.
Yes.
And the babies, the other kids are like, "Hey, this is weird. This kid's growing like a bamboo." So
it's growing so fast.
They call her Little Bamboo, and they call her Little Bamboo a lot. It just goes on and on and on, and they talk about Little Bamboo. So yeah, we get that. Then she starts like she grows some more. She's growing like super super fast, and she's going out with the other kids, and the kids are all playing around, and she's like finds some little piglets, some like wild pigs.
Yeah,
and then the pig mother finds them and sees them as like, oh, she doesn't really like that, so she charges them. And she
tries to ohm her like she's like Nazca.
Yes.
And then one kid, an older kid, it saves her, like, hey, and tells her like, hey, you can't be playing with wild pigs. The mom will kill you. Ah, man. So
and then she says something, and then she says bamboo shoot like 14 times.
Yeah, she's starting to talk, and she's just growing and growing and growing. So she's growing like super fast. We cut to the bamboo cutter. He's out in the woods, cutting some bamboo some more, and he sees another tree light up.
He goes over to that thing. You're like, ooh, another princess awaits.
Yeah. He cuts it open, and it's just a shitload of gold, just like a whole, all the gold, like it just pours out. And he's like, "Well, okay." It's weird. He doesn't tell his wife at first, or at least we don't see him tell his wife. Then we see the princess, the Little Bamboo. She like, we have this like little sequence where she sees these people, because everybody is like artisans, kind of. Well, they're not artisans, but they're like they make stuff. Everybody on this area makes stuff. The bamboo guy, the bamboo cutter, and his wife, they get the bamboo, and then they turn the bamboo
like
into little shoots
wicker baskets,
and turn it into wicker baskets.
One guy's making wooden bowls.
Yeah, she watches like the entire process of this family.
That dude makes a shitload of bowls.
Yeah, just make wooden bowls. From the point of them like cutting down a tree and making the bowl, to a guy is taking all of the bowls and taking them apparently to the city, the capital to sell.
My question is, how many people really need that many bowls?
I don't know. Apparently a lot.
I'll say this. These scenes taken together, this is establishing the princess right now. Just the princess. She hasn't been named Kaguya yet. It's establishing Princess's relationship to common people and to common ways of life, and what will be one of the things that defines her. One of the things that makes her happy is that again is being amongst people who are like salt of the earth, doing the work of their hands and things like that. Much like her mother and father are, at least at this time.
Yeah. So she starts hanging out with the kids some more. Going all over the place. You got one's just got a baby strapped to its back. Just this little like 8-year-old kid got a baby just strapped to his back. Half the time it's not even like awake. It's crazy. You also get some sound effects of anime and Japanese animation. They love their cicadas. Like there's cicadas all over the place.
There's like a full on just like whole screen shot of a cicada.
Yeah. But you're hearing all these cicadas. They go and steal some melons. Her and the older boy who had saved her earlier. What's his name? I never could get his name.
Her main friend from that.
Yeah.
Sudamaru.
So they go, and she just like, they're like, oh, those melons would be nice, and she just goes, okay, well, I'm gonna go get one. And so she goes and gets one, and then Sudamaru gets one, and then somebody's coming, so they have to go and hide. They go hide in the grass. and eat the melons, and the melons look really good. This is your Ghibli food watch.
Yes.
They really don't show food all that much in this.
We haven't hit up like there is actually in the Kodansha book. There is literally like a 2 to 4 page spread of Ghibli on food and all the times foods happen. Wait till Mononoke, people.
Yeah.
We will get there.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
We chose ones that don't have like the most food shown. Like
if we're going by food, then Spirited Away is sorely missed on this
Spirited
list.
Away, Howl's Moving Castle, like those are like probably the top two of
Mononoke has a big food scene though too, right? Am I misremembering that?
I can't remember where it would be, but I could be surprised.
Check in next week when I'm either proven right or wrong. It'll be 100% either
But
way.
I'll definitely look out for that. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, but I could be just not thinking of it. But yeah. We got some nice. They eat some nice melons. That's really, they enjoy that. Then we cut to the bamboo cutter. He's in the woods again. He's doing his job, cutting some bamboo, and he sees another bamboo stalk light up, and he cuts this one open, and just
so many like
rich fabrics
linen,
just shoot out of the bamboo, silk, all kinds of material, and he's like, "Oh, okay."
Heaven has given us a sign.
They've given us a sign.
We must raise Princess as a princess.
Yeah, he says it's what heaven wants.
It is heaven's will.
So he takes all this stuff back to his wife, and he's like, yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start going to the capital, and I'm going to build her a house.
With all this gold that I forgot to tell you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, I have all this gold. Assuming that they told her off screen because she didn't seem really upset about it. But he's like, yeah, I'm going to go to the capital. I'm going to build her a house. And when all that's done, we're going to take her there and we're going to give her the life that heaven wants her to have. So yeah, the girl continues to grow. There's a scene where they chase a pheasant and they,
there's like a time jump of like a few years.
Yeah, maybe not. It's hard to tell exactly how much time passes because she grows at a different rate from a human.
From like synopsises that I've been reading, it says like at least a year has passed.
I could possibly see that, but she's like
it would take like probably about a year to have a new manor house built in the capital. Like I can see that. Yeah. Because she's about the same age physically as the boys, as all of these little boys that she's hanging around. So they chase a pheasant. The older boy falls down a ravine. She goes down after him. But she falls down too.
He berates her.
Yeah, he berates her. Is like, hey, why'd you do that?
Why didn't you listen to me?
Why didn't you listen to me? It was rough because the boy fell down and he was fucked up, and then she falls down and he has to catch her, so he gets fucked up twice. But he lands on the pheasant and they get the pheasant, and they're like, oh yeah. We got
and on her way down, she saw mushrooms. Like, we can get these mushrooms.
Well, on the way back up because they find a vine and they find a vine for them to climb up, and on the way back up, she's
vine,
like, "Oh, here's some mushrooms." So they got mushrooms.
We
now.
can make a stew for everyone.
Yeah, we're gonna have pheasant stew because the boy's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna prepare the pheasant."
There's gonna be enough for everyone in the village.
Yeah. So yeah, but she goes home and say, "Hey, we're gonna make stew," and the woodcutter and the wife is like, "Hey,
come with us.
Come with us.
Yeah,
we're going to the capital.
We're going to the capital. Okay, we're leaving.
When are we coming back?" No answer given.
Yeah, no answer given. Get in this little carriage looking thing. So she falls asleep, and she wakes up in the mansion. This is where we get probably my favorite sound effects throughout this, and they do it all while they're in this mansion area. Are the footsteps when people are running are very evocative. So they're like, yeah, hey, here's this giant mansion, and it's all yours, and there's tons and tons of servants, and there's all these people. There's a little short servant with weird eyes that we see all the time, and she's really funny. She was the funniest thing in this. But yeah, she sees all this and she's like, "Oh, this is cool." can I ever go back home? And they're like, no, you can't.
You must be raised as a princess.
At first, you don't even, you think, at first I thought that they just like took her there and left her, but they show up and they're all like dressed up and painted to look like noble people. And they're like, hey, you're going to stay here. This is our life now. This is our life now. This is what the heavens want for you.
And then she starts getting lessons on how to be a proper princess.
They hired a governess for her, who's going to teach her how to be a proper lady, and she doesn't like that at all.
This is Lady Sagami.
Yeah, I think so. I was bad with names with this one. She goes through all of the things, like this is how you sit. This is what the makeup looks like. We got to shave your eyebrows. We got to paint
your teeth black.
You got to paint your teeth black.
Blech. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Apparently, that's how they do it in that time. We got to do all this. The only thing that she like really enjoys is like the
koto,
the stringed instruments, kind of like a long. It's like a lap guitar almost,
which she takes to immediately.
Yeah, she takes to immediately and is very good with it. When she runs away like a lot from the governess and really like frustrates her.
The koto is the national instrument of Japan.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
It's a plucked half-tube zither instrument.
Yeah, she.
I wish we had a national instrument.
We do. It's the electric guitar, baby.
I found that statement dubious, but
plays the national anthem on the guitar.
Yeah, there's a really cool, funny part where she knocks the little short servant over.
That's Mino Warawa, her little attendant.
Yeah,
which I think she's always chill with the princess. Which I always love that.
Yeah, she's always she's there. She brings levity in this. Then the name father comes and finally gives her a name.
Yeah, Inbe no Akita. Again, this is the part voiced by George Segal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he's totally chill with her not being 100% princess-ish.
Yeah.
Like I think that's one of the endearing qualities of that character.
Because he gets a chance to like observe her like not being like prim and proper, but her being herself, like playing as a young little girl.
Yeah, he freaks out over her, like he's completely like taken aback by her, and gives her the name of Princess Kaguya. He gives her like a really long name, but it ends up being like, this means Kaguya. Like what all she means is it was a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't write down. I don't know if anybody else paid attention to that, but
once they got the name and the title, I was okay with it.
Yeah. And apparently, like, girls just don't get named until they're like so old in Japan. At that time.
But now hold on, this goes back to Nazca.
Yeah,
is Lord Yupa
when
the name father?
He comes to the village
for the Valley of the Wind.
Someone hands it like, name my baby.
I don't know. Maybe that's.
And is this like us being ignorant to that period of time, and that like being reflected maybe in Nazca, and that they do that? I think this is fascinating. Like it's one work from Ghibli kind of describing what was going on in another. So
yeah. So so now the dad wants to have a celebratory banquet. This is where this is where we like kind of introduce you to everybody, and this is where your fame and beauty kind of take off. Shit lasts for 3 days, which is
how much gold was in that bamboo?
Which is crazy.
Also, was that the only instance of bamboo gold, or were there multiple instances?
Yeah,
of bamboo gold? Was he just constantly getting funded by the moon bank?
Yeah. Which it seems weird that the moon kept giving him money for this when they.
Well, if you think about it, if she was punished, they may want to punish her, but they don't want her to die as a mortal. And therefore, they want her to be taken care of.
And we'll get to this later, but I thought that, like, she says that she ran away. Like, she says that, like, they didn't know where she was. But she might not be telling the entire truth.
Who are we to question the divine nature of the moon?
Yeah, maybe. And the Buddha, apparently.
And the Buddha, yeah.
So yeah, like then the guests start getting rowdy because it's 3 days and you're just giving people food and alcohol for 3 fucking days. So yeah, they're gonna get a little rowdy and they start like pressuring the dad, the woodcutter, to be like, hey, why can't we? Because you can't see her. Like, you can't, like, I think before a woman is married or something, you're not supposed to see her, especially in something like this. From what I read, you're not supposed to see the girl. So she's off, like, they're all partying and she's just off in her own little, like, tent looking thing.
Her own chambers.
Yeah. With, and all she has is the little servant girl. And she's just kind of sitting there hearing everybody have fun, and everybody and all the guys are like,
and her name.
Yeah. But she can't have anything to do with it, apparently. And the guys start being like, hey, why can't we see her? We have heard that she is gorgeous and she is beautiful. Why can't we see her? So they start throwing a fit. And she hears this, so she runs away. This is one of the moments, like, there's not a lot of, like, quote unquote action or movement in this, like, everybody kind of moves. It's very slow and things like that. But this is one of the moments where there's, like, a lot of fast motion. And this is where I think the movie gets, like, when parts like this are where the movie gets the most beautiful, because this is where they show very fast motion. Because she, like, superhumanly runs and everything's like this blur. And all you can kind of see of her
where
face.
all the robes come off?
Yeah,
Yes.
the robes
As
start
she's
flying
running,
off
yeah.
as she's running, because she's doing kind of like, she's basically doing like a Naruto run, but she's doing it like super, super fast. And you're like, okay, well, she's
A Naruto run as done by Ghibli.
Yeah.
Let's point that out there too.
she runs all the way to her old house. She finds that it is occupied now. There's a little baby there, and then the mom runs out and grabs the baby, and it's like, oh shit. She finds this guy making charcoal, I believe.
Yes.
And asks him like, hey, well, she goes to the boy's house and she finds that it's abandoned, and she finds this guy making charcoal, and she's like, hey, what's up? And he's like, oh yeah, well those people, they cut down the trees, so they're gonna go away for 10 years, and they're gonna come back when the trees are starting to be replanted. They can't stay in one place for a very long time. And she goes, oh, that sucks. And then she just kind of wakes up. Like she has it was a dream. She wakes up and she's back in the palace, and she's in her little fancy tent thing. Which is
something that will come up later in the story as well, as far as like dream, like a real thing that happened being thought of by the person that it happened to as a dream instead of reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this kind of primed me to look for it the next time that it happened. Mm-hmm. But this is where like she starts, devoting herself to her studies. Like she's becoming a proper lady. She lets them shave her eyebrows. She lets them paint her teeth.
They don't shave her. They pluck them out.
Yeah, she plucks them out. I'm sorry. Yeah,
that was actually, of all the things that kind of like unnerved me, and that's something that you wouldn't think necessarily would, but that did, because to shave her eyebrows or to cut them off would be one thing, but to take the exacting nature of one at a time, or like clumps at a time, there's something about that's just a little unnerving. So
yeah. And now, like the suitors, all of their gifts and all of this stuff is just flying in. Like people are just basically, in one instance, literally knocking down the doors to try and like get a peek at her, to make her their bride. One of them gives her a little bird that's in this like woven circular cage, and she lets it out. Because of course she's gonna let it out.
Because it's a bird, it should be free.
It shouldn't be caged.
Yeah, and it must be said, like she constantly is bumping up against the woodcutter and being like, "Hey, I don't really want to do this," and he's like, "Well, you kind of have to.
You're a princess. It's expected of you.
It's expected of you."
It's not malicious from his point. It's just this is the way it's always done. This is the way it should be. Because you're meant to be a princess, because all of this gold and all this fine linen, these are signs from the heavens that this is what you were meant to be, what you were meant to do, who you've always been. And he has it right in spirit, but not in design.
Yeah. Then we find out that we cut to, I thought that they were royals, but they were just kind of like noblemen. They were all like official, like government officials. in some way or other. Some of them are royal, some of them aren't.
Yeah, you have a prince. You have Lord Minister of the Right, Abe.
Yeah.
Which I wonder if that was a specific reference to Shinzo Abe.
Probably, because I'm pretty certain he was in power at this time.
But you had middle counselor Isano Kami, Prince Kuromochi, Prince. This one I'm really gonna mess up, and I apologize. But Prince Ishitsukuri, I believe, is the name of that, and Great Counselor Great Counselor Otomo. Again, great selection of actors and voice actors selected for this. Ishitsukuri was James Marsden. Abe was Oliver Platt, and until I read the cast list and saw it, I didn't realize that was him, but I knew that voice. And his is one of the funnier moments that brought a lot of levity to the story, as it was kind of like, you knew that with Takahata, he is very good at portraying melancholy to where you can digest it, understand it, and be okay with it. I think in part because you have moments like with Abe. I think when you have all of the moments with Tsutomaru, it sets you up like this will end in sadness, but it's not a sadness that you can't just. It's a sadness you can recover from, I guess is the way I want to put that there.
Yeah. So these guys, they're walking through this. I think it's the palace. I don't know, but they're walking through and they're kind of being dismissive of Kaguya. They're like, "Oh, why? Like, all of this is overblown. She's still like just regular born." And the guy who named her, he shows up and he's like, "Nah, she's from the moon, guys. She was born in a
she came from a bamboo.
She came from she didn't see it." You don't know at this time that she come from, but he does say like she came from a bamboo stalk, like she just came from nowhere, and they're all like, "Huh?" So you cut.
They went from uninterested to intrigued.
Intrigued
doesn't go far enough.
They are like that's too
locked and loaded.
Yeah, they basically race. They start racing in their little carriage things to be the first one there. They're knocking people out of the way. They have people running in front of them, literally like knocking people out of the way as they go, trying to get there. And they're all like some of them are like standing halfway out of the little carriage. It's really a funny moment.
So, I'll give you the jeweled branch from a tree from a mountain. I'll give you the stone bowl Buddha drank out of. It's
they all like
the jewel
boasting,
from a dragon's neck.
Yeah, they all start really like
they start comparing.
She's in like a little covered area, so they can't see her. So they're all in front of her. There's the really funny moment where the little attendant girl like straightens out all of they have like a long trail and she goes and straightens all of them out. But yeah, they're doing this big boast. They're really full of it, especially the first guy who says he's going to bring back a jeweled branch. And then she kind of flips it on him. She's like, "Okay, like you're talking about my beauty and all of this and all the things that you were due for me. Prove it. You go bring me the jeweled branch. You go bring me the stone Buddha bowl. You go bring me the."
I'm thinking now, KFC, world famous Buddha bowls.
It's probably in the works somewhere.
Yeah, probably. There
you go bring me the
robe of the fire rat.
The robe of the fire rat. You go bring me the dragon gem. You go bring me the shell thing that you said.
Shell of the swallow.
Shell of the swallow. Some kind of seashell or something like that. And I kind of thought that the last one, who was the younger one, who was the most sincere, but he was also full of it as well. We will find out. But she's like, "Yeah, go do those. If your love for me is what you say, even though you've never even met me,
then prove it.
You should be able to go and find these things." And they're like, "Hey, that's impossible." And she's like, "Well, it shouldn't be for you.
Yeah.
Because your love for me, a person you have never met, is so great." So they all leave and they're kind of pissy. And the dad's like, what the hell? That was like the 5 like highest born people in all of the nation. And she's like, "Oh, well, it is, you know."
And then this is when we see Sagami leave in disappointment.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm so upset with you. And I'm like, "Yeah, bye."
yeah, she finally is like, I can't do this anymore.
There's no hope.
There's no hope. She's never going to find a suitor. Then there's the cherry blossoms are blooming, so she tells her mom that she really wants to go see the cherry blossoms. So the mom's like, hey, let's go take her to see the cherry blossoms. So they go to kind of in the countryside. There's a cherry blossom tree on a hill, and she runs up there. The other two are behind them. Her mom and the little attendant girl are behind them. So she runs up there, and she's like really, really happy for a little while, like just dancing around. This is a really beautiful moment too. We get a lot of that motion. The cherry blossoms are falling. And she's kind of interrupted in that because this girl, this baby, like she runs into a baby, knocks a baby down, and the mom comes and gets her. Is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, princess," and they bow really, really, and you know they treat her differently, and that kind of ruins the mood. And just as soon as her mom and the attendant girl get up there, she's like, "Well, let's go home," because now she's sad. Then 3 years pass. We actually get some time where they tell us, hey, it's 3 years. And the guy with the jeweled branch is like, hey, I got it. Here it is.
And she's like, what?
And she's like, oh, shit. I didn't think you'd do that.
Can you tell me the story of how you got the branch? And he's telling the story, and like he seems very sincere about it. And then a dude shows up with a bill. Yeah. And it's like, hey, you know that jeweled branch you told me to build? Where's my money? And it's like,
it's time to collect.
Yeah.
This dude's the prince, and he didn't fucking pay the people to do this shit.
So that failed.
And it's really funny because he gives her this kind of like, ain't I a stinker look, and then runs off because he's like, well, this didn't work.
I tried.
It's basically a Bugs Bunny thing that happens. But yeah.
And then shortly after him, the other suitors.
We find out all of the dudes are full of shit because the guy who was going to get the fire rat robe is like, hey, here it is. Isn't it so gorgeous? Yeah. And she's like,
put it in the fire.
That's cool.
Yeah, set it on fire.
Set it on fire because the thing about the fire rat robe is that you throw it in the fire and it doesn't burn except for the impurities burn out and it becomes even more beautiful.
Yes.
So he's like, are you sure? And she's like, yes, please.
Yeah,
and he
do it.
throws it on the fire and at first it does get more beautiful. And he's like, oh, you see? And then whoosh, it just completely catches on fire.
Yeah.
And the dude like grabs it with his hands as he's like burning his hands.
Yeah.
And he's like, shit, look at what you did. You know, like I spent my entire fortune.
all my money. All my money is gone. I have no money.
It was just in this thing.
That was the single most incel thing that happened in this movie.
Yeah,
possibly.
it was very funny. And
my favorite is the one that is going for the dragon jewel. Yeah. It's like I will fight you, dragon. And like one of the guys that's on the boat with him, like knocks the sword out of his hand, and as it's flying through the air, lightning strikes it and completely destroys the sword. It's like, you idiot. And he starts seeing dragons in the wake, in the clouds, and it's the waves and the thunder. Because this
he
man
becomes a blubbering mess.
Yeah, this man has never been out to deep sea before. Meanwhile, like he's surrounded by these like actual. Once again, kind of like the difference between like the tell everyone what to do class and the people who actually have to do these things. There's a dignity and a respect for the people who are actually
there was one dude on that boat who was basically keeping him alive, like tying him to the mast because like it's a storm and like the waves are crashing over the boat and everything.
And that again, just the way that like the image of the dragon kind of morphs into the clouds and morphs into the
and this is kind of there's kind of a little
it was so
good. The art style kind of changes right here because it's like you're hearing of the story of the guy and it starts off like really noble and then it ends up with him crying in the fetal position. That's the last time we see him
tied to a boat in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. So the next guy comes and he just has, you know, this was the guy who was supposed to get the Buddha bowl and he says, well, I couldn't find it. I looked everywhere, but I saw this gorgeous flower, and he gives it, and he has this flower that's in this little cup thing, and he's like, I found this flower, and it was and
it reminded me.
It reminded me of you, and he gives her this long, like, very like this would have worked.
Yeah. Except this was secretly an episode of Cheaters, and as soon as the slats open up, it's his actual wife.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, remember me? Remember that story you gave me? Yeah. You remember how all your other wives had to shave their heads and go off to a nunnery? Yeah, no, it ain't happening to her.
Yeah.
Bye. Oh my God, that was such a great twist on that one.
He almost got her, and he had me believe him, but like he's used this line before, and it didn't work this time because we find out kind of. Some of them are more subtly done than this, but we find out that like all of these men have wives, like they've got a wife. They just wanted her as their wife.
It's like how like you've had that Toyota for like 10 years and it's been running well and it's good, but it's starting to get older and you're looking at some of the newer models and they're out there and I really need like that Subaru Sport because I've had this for like 10 years and I want to and so that's what I'm objectifying it like that because that's literally how they come off.
That's what they are doing.
That's literally how they come off.
None of them
oh my
care
God.
anything about her.
It's all about the title and the look and the attention and the prima facie and has nothing to do with any kind of feelings.
The story of her is also like something. And so now we got the younger dude who seemed very sincere. What happens to him? Well, he's climbing up trying to
get the shell.
To get this shell in this sparrow nest, and he falls down. And he kills himself. He dies.
He dies.
He breaks his back and dies. He falls headfirst into a pot, and really grossly, like he didn't get the shell, but he got an egg that was half born and apparently still alive. I was like, man, that was really dark. And then the little bird started moving, so I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's better. But it's still really dark. Yeah. So he's dead. Yeah. It's funny because you didn't know that he was dead because you're like, oh, well, this is a cartoon, so maybe he's still alive. And then they're like,
this cartoon has everything.
And then titty
nipples, preemie sparrows, death by cauldron.
And then it cuts to Kaguya and she's like, he broke his back and died? Oh shit. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
The guy is dead. The guy is dead. So yeah. So now the emperor has gotten word of her.
Yes, the Mikado.
Yeah, the Mikado. And he's like, well, maybe I'll try.
Like I've heard enough about this.
I've heard enough about
princess.
her. Tell her to come to the palace.
Also, she's like taking out like 4 or 5 members of my court.
Yeah,
by just like existing. Like holy shit. And then being like thirst trap for her and just, it just fucking done.
Yeah, she got him. But she refuses. She says, I'm not going to the palace.
Oh my God, was this just secretly ancient Japanese OnlyFans? They simped for Kaguya and one of them died.
They did simp for her.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
I'm removing the poignancy of the story and I apologize.
Very much so. So yeah, so she refuses. She's like, I know where this is gonna go, and I'm not gonna do that. So he's like, well, fine, I will come and see her myself. So the emperor goes to the mansion, and it's very uncomfortable.
Yep.
Because he is a man that you don't say no to.
Yeah, no, because they sent the message, hey, say yes to me, and there's like, you know what, no. And it's like, now I want her even more.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that he it's not that it like said like, no, I don't want to. She's begging her father, saying like, hey, deny this request or I will kill myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she basically he grabs onto her.
He hears back no, and it's like, well, but if I show up, then it'll have to happen.
So he grabs her, and she like turns into a spirit or something, and kind of disappears. It's like she stands up and then like disappears.
Outside of her arrival, this is the first time specifically she does anything supernatural. Mm-hmm. Like. You could say that her talent with like being able to like the pirouetting that she does, the kind of gymnastic moves she does, even then that could be like, okay, she's a young girl, she she could be able to do that. Her being able to play the koto as well, that could also maybe supernatural. But this is the truest instance of he has her locked in an embrace that she does not want to be in.
Yeah.
And she just kind of phases out of that. And it's like he's like, "Whoa, what the fuck just happened?"
Yeah.
Like, she really is from the moon.
And then she like appears behind him. And he's like, yeah, okay, well, I'll go away, but like you're eventually you gotta say yes. I'm the emperor. Like you don't say no to me. So like, okay, it's cool. I'm gonna leave right now, but like you're eventually going to say yes. It's not gonna be a thing where you don't get to say no.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that causes a big problem. Something I forgot we've kind of skipped over is there's a part of the house that is like the kitchen area, and it's like it looks more like her old house, and this is where the mother stays most of the time. And she starts
the garden that goes
and
out
there's a
and
garden area that that the mother and Kaguya like tend to, and this is the area where they both feel the most comfortable. And the woodcutter is always going in there and be like, why the hell are y'all in this part? There are much nicer parts of this mansion. Go to those places.
I didn't spend all this moon gold for nothing.
Yeah. this moon gold. That's funny. So yeah, then she starts being like really, really sad. And all she does is like at night she goes and stands and looks at the moon. And they finally ask her, is like, hey, what's up? Why don't you do anything now? And she's like, well,
it's time to know the truth, Mom and Dad.
I'm from the moon, and I lived on the moon, and I came down here because this girl. So also, there's another thing that we skipped because man, that song is so fucking annoying. There's this like little song that the kids sing in the beginning, and she sings like different words to it,
and then they like say like you're singing it wrong.
So she sings this song like a couple of times throughout the thing, and she says, I heard that. So apparently, like when you die or something, like you go to the moon and all of your cares get washed away. Well, there was this one woman who came here and she sang this song, and I heard this song and I was like, well, I want to go see what all that's about. So I ran away and I came down here and they weren't able to find me, and I've been living here this whole time. But I was so scared when I had to talk to the emperor that I cried out and asked them to come and save me. So they've told me that in just a few days they're gonna come get me. The mom and the dad are absolutely distraught. The mom's really sad, but the dad's like, we're gonna stop them. We're gonna build defenses.
We're gonna protect you from that.
We're gonna
moon.
protect you from him. They're not taking you. And she's like, yeah, they're gonna take me. I don't have a choice.
It is inevitable that on the 15th day, she is going back to the moon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she broke the rules to come here, so now she has to go back. But she tells her mom like, I want to go home. So she actually goes back to the home in the forest. There she finds the boy. They're actually coming back.
There's something we missed, and I want to go back to this. So I think when they were coming back from the countryside, they were in kind of effectively a traffic jam, and you have.
Yeah.
And I think this is because this is not this is not the first time she sees Tsunomaru. When she goes back to the village and they're there. Tsunomaru is like running through the traffic jam with like a chicken underneath his arm, because his family needs to eat.
Yeah.
And like he's right. And he stopped and he sees her, and that pauses him long enough to get caught and get literally the shit kicked out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one part of that fight that really got me was when the guy like is over him and he picks his head up and slams it into the road. And I was like, good God.
This is like an adult beating the shit out of a child. Which, he took your chicken, but damn.
It's not that he like sees her, like she sees Tsunomaru like running, and she calls out.
Yeah, she calls out to him and stops him.
But then that holds him. Yeah,
that holds him.
When he finally gets that attention, it's like, oh, and then that moment kind of just wipes away. That to me is the setup for the final one, and the fact that they had a chance to reunite and they didn't reunite.
Yeah.
So this story has to end with them reuniting in some way.
So we see Tsunomaru and all of his people coming back to this area, and Tsunomaru is grown. He has a baby.
Yeah. He has a wife and kid.
And we're like, oh, okay. And he finds Kaguya, well, they hear something, and he's like, well, I'll go check it out. So he goes to check it out, and that's where he meets Kaguya. And he's like, hey, why don't we run away? And I was thinking, we just found out you have a kid. What the hell? And that's when I was like, oh, this probably isn't actually happening. So he's like, yeah, let's just run away. Let's just leave. Let's just go. Let's just go wherever. It doesn't matter. We can just go wherever. So they start running off, and then they start flying. They start flying around. This is another one of the more beautiful parts of this movie, because we see them like flying through the sky, and they're flying all over the place.
That is the point. This comes from the Studio Ghibli book. Takahata intentionally kept the sky out of scenes.
Oh, okay.
So that when you had this scene and you have like the motion of them flying,
sense,
and that's when the sky is shown like so much, and so that it evokes that emotion out of you.
Yeah, there isn't, even when they're outside, there's usually like trees like blocking out where the sky
like when they're climbing back up from that ravine they fell into. Like all you have is like the cusp of the hill at the very top of the frame. You don't see any sky.
The cherry
out of
tree
that.
Cuts out thing. Usually like the mansion cuts out whatever the sky if they're outside.
He wanted the sky to, like, in that part, to stand out, because he's mentally trained you at the back of your head to go, we haven't seen the sky, and then all of a sudden we see all of this sky.
Yeah, and they fly all around, and then Shumaru wakes up because and he's alone.
She sees the moon.
Yeah, she sees the moon.
They
and
both
stops,
see the moon, and they both fall.
Yeah, she fall. Yeah, they fall.
I am of the opinion that happened because earlier we had heard have the exact same thing, where she went back home, found that they weren't there, and then woke up to, it must have been a dream, to where he found what would have been his home with Kaguya, had time allowed for a different thing, and it didn't. And then because that is ending when he wakes up, because he wakes up in the field where he would have met her. Why is he all of a sudden got narcolepsy and fell asleep? No, it's those notions of the supernatural there that happened, but he can have his last moment with Kaguya, and then also have the way to go back to his regular life. And I think that was exceptionally well done.
Yeah, it's definitely open to interpretation. So then we go back to the mansion. And they have built
Fortress Kaguya.
They have built the fortress up.
They've built ramparts on the roof.
Yeah.
Everyone has a naginata.
In 15, the little servant, like that got me. I was like, this is funny, because the little servant is sitting there with the naginata with the little headband on, and she looks super serious. Girl has no neck. She has a humongous head and no neck, and that's one of the reasons why she's super funny. I didn't mean that as an insult to people who have big heads and no neck. Jay, you might want to cut that out. I don't know.
I don't know why I would, but for you, sir, I may consider it at the very least.
So yeah, they're all ready. The dad's on the rampart, and he's like, we're going to stop them.
We're going to fuck up the moon.
Kaguya's there with her mother. And then the moon comes, and they got a little bop going on.
Yeah.
The moon comes down.
The moon comes down in a second line.
Yeah, they got a second line going. Everybody's playing all these instruments. They're riding on a cloud. And to be honest, like I said, it's a bop they got going on. I would probably go to the moon too if I heard this. I was like, oh, that's sweet. So like, oh yeah, get them. And they fire arrows, and the arrows just turn into flowers and drop, and everybody's all happy. You see the Buddha there, looking all serious.
See, I initially took that as the Buddha, but I'm wondering if that wasn't Tsukuyomi, which is the Shinto god of the moon.
It's possible.
Which we don't have a lot of knowledge. Just that
I've heard it called the Buddha, but it's not in any like official.
No, and it looks like it's 99. Like if it's any percent like looks like Tsukuyomi, it's maybe like 1%. Just like, oh, he's got moonlight behind him, it might be Tsukuyomi.
Yeah,
but yeah, it looks more like the Buddha. But I just love the notion that Tsukuyomi was once married to Amaterasu, but she keeps running away from him, and he has to keep chasing to catch her. I always like that notion.
And everybody starts falling asleep.
Because it's the moon.
Because it's the moon. They put people to sleep. The dad's the last one, and he starts like trying to go get him, and they put him to sleep too. And Kaguya comes out, and she's like, "Okay, well, I'll go with you." And they bring her, and she talks about earlier that like they put this robe on you, and it makes you forget. So they have the robe. They put a little crown on her, so she really is a princess. She's the princess of the moon, apparently. And they put this little crown on her, and then they go to put this robe on her that she has said once they put the robe on you, you just forget everything about your troubles, and you forget your all your pain and everything.
You forget your life on Earth.
You forget your life on Earth. So she says, "Well, hold on." And she turns and tells her family that she loves them. Goes to them and is like holding them in her arms. And they put the thing on her, and she just stands up blankly and turns around and goes with them, and they fly off. And then probably one of the saddest things that's ever happened, as they're going off into the sky and they're into space, she turns around and there's tears in her eyes, and that's the movie.
Which means the robe didn't work.
Yeah. Well, it was already hinted that it didn't work completely because the woman that she knew a song from Earth.
Right.
So like, so it doesn't fully work. But it does. But it's very sweet because now she's gonna we know that she remembers. So we know that like all of that wasn't for nothing at the very least. So yeah, that's Kaguya.
So I want to talk about Jesus Christ, just very briefly.
Okay.
This was okay.
Go on.
This story, the story that this story is based off, the Tale of the Bamboo Cutter, is considered the oldest fantasy story in Japan, and it dates somewhere between the years 700 to 1100 CE. Again, but that's more focused, I believe, on the bamboo cutter, on the father, more so than that is on the princess. This story is an extrapolation of that, but you have a divine being come to Earth to live among the people, to find out what it's like to live among mortals. If you can't see the parallels there, not connection, because again this story and the story of Jesus Christ happen in two different parts in the world with no connection as far as how those. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that there's
similarities.
There's echoes of the Christ tale in this story as well. The fact that, in my opinion, when she remembers everything going back, and it's that knowledge of what life is like for mortals that gives her an idea. Like she completed what she needed to do. She needed to find out what it was like to live as a mortal. That to me, like if we look just at the Jesus Christ side of things just for one small moment, that's the part of Jesus' story that always has resonated with me and what pushed me towards a belief in God, because the compassion to live like a mortal when you don't have to. God didn't have to make that choice. He chose to live like a mortal and to love like a mortal and suffer like a mortal and find out what a mortal life was like and to come to that. That kind of resonated with me, especially at the end here when it's all kind of tied up there. And I think Takahata and the entire crew of that tell a very evocative story of the notion of when immortals choose to be mortal, and what effect that has on us and what effect we have on them. And I think because that runs throughout, like you look at the bamboo cutter immediately wants to he wants what's best for her, but what he wants best is from a mortal's idea of what an immortal would want to have, like a princess from the moon would want to have. When really all she wants that simple life. She wants those friends. She wants to be with Sudamaru. She wants all of these things. She wants the garden in the back by the kitchen. She doesn't want to put on the makeup or put on these fake airs of pretending to have love or pretending to be in love or try to court someone for anything other than love. I think that's very powerful, and it's so subtle. and it kind of hits you there at the very end when they take her back. No one is happy there. Mm-hmm. Even the Court of the Moon, even as they're going back, they're not doing that because they want to. It's kind of like, okay, her time's done. Mm-hmm. We're bringing her back now. There's no joy in them bringing her back. It's just, we've got to do this, and so we're doing this. So there is the sadness, there is in the tragedy, but in the looking back with the tears in her eyes. Of all people, Mandalore Gaming, when he was reviewing a video game recently. He said it was a Stasis Bone Totem, and he was talking about grief is the hardest, purest expression of love because it's the final expression of love. So it's those tears looking back on the earth, and it's for Sudamaru, it's for mom and dad, and it's for all the people that she had positive and good feelings about. That to me is the sadness of it, but then it's also the joy of we as mortals influenced an immortal soul. And I just think that just ties everything kind of in together. And that to me is the interesting part of that, is what good effects we had. And I think that a lot of that is Sudamaru definitely, her mother definitely, and also her father definitely on Earth. So I think where it kind of ends for me there is that notion of the sublime becoming one with the normal and what it learned from being normal, I guess is my way of saying that.
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from with that interpretation. So, I'm going to be a little controversial, I think. This one didn't really do it that much for me. I didn't love this one. I liked it, and I did not. It just didn't grab me like some of the other Ghibli movies that I've watched in the past. I kind of felt the length of this. It was a gorgeous movie, but like it was kind of a little too fable fairy tale for me. Like it was a little bit too simple. They did do some good stuff. Like they got me in a couple parts where I started like really getting into it, but then like it would just kind of change or keep going or you know, I don't know. This one just didn't do it all that much for me. I didn't hate it and I didn't like dislike it, but it just did not resonate with me like I feel like it has with you and like it did with Jody, because we heard what he Jay and I heard what he said.
Right, and actually, real quick before we go any further, passengers, these are the thoughts of Jody Kite sent to us from his sickbed. God bless you, brother, for the overtime on this one.
The Tale of Princess Kaguya is probably one of the most beautiful and well-drawn animated films I had ever seen. Not just in the Ghibli studio, but of all time. It blew me away. The sequences where there were action, such as the running through the fields, the take on that was just astonishing. The subtle watercolor, almost Kamigawa-like design from those old 19th century and before Japanese paintings. It just looked like an artwork come to life. The story was full of joy and laughter and also heartbreak. The bamboo farmer and his wife always looking out for their princess, and albeit making the wrong kind of assumptions on what somebody's happiness is for what you think their happiness is, really solidifies a lot of emotion in that as well. Choices that were made because of that. And to me, overall, as a whole, it really kind of summed up as a coming of age story where when you are young and you think you know what you want, and then you become older, and when she's leaving for the last time, she looks back and she can remember what all the good times she had and what she's losing out on, and she cries and she moves on. That's growing up to me, so I loved it. I've never seen it before, but it's one of my favorite Ghibli movies now.
And there we go.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you have any more thoughts that you want?
No, I like it. Just like I also like most of the voice cast. I liked. I did. James Caan. Like, I couldn't ever forget that it was James Caan a lot of times, and I think some of the stuff that some of the ways he went about with his lines were a little wooden.
See, I took them as old man, which by now James Caan is an old man, but like it's just kind of like this kind of doting old man who thinks he knows what's right, and he's not coming from raising her as a kind of malicious thing. He just this is what she must be. I must do that this way. And I think there's a stubbornness there that I think with James Caan's voice, I think that worked also extremely well. Again, I think Mary Steenburgen knocked it out of the park as a mother.
She was great.
And every single laurel I can give to Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yeah, she was great.
She was just fantastic in this role. Absolutely fantastic as far as that goes.
Yeah, like this one just didn't resonate with me like I have had movies resonate in the past. I'm glad we watched it. Like, this is the only one that we've watched that we're going to watch that none of us have seen.
None of us have.
So I'm glad of that. And like, I just don't see myself like going and watching this again. It just didn't. I didn't like it all that much. It was good, but I just didn't love it. And just don't see myself going back to it. And I think it was like it did never. One of the reasons why I haven't watched it is because it just didn't. Like, I saw it and it didn't resonate with me when I saw like previews and little bits here and there. Yeah. So,
Ethan, what did you think of it, brother?
I find myself with the same mentality as Brady on this.
I take back everything I said.
It's the greatest movie of all time. Isn't it? No, continue.
The art style of beginning to end is very beautiful movie. Like the certain things that the little decisions that they make with like the art style, the visual effects, it's very beautiful. I enjoyed like all of the music around it, the little things that like what Brady mentioned, like in the mansion with like the walking on the floors, just like the little things. Amazing movie. It's one of those things where it's like it didn't entice me enough in the beginning of the movie to where it wanted me to invest in it. Like how best should I put it? It's one of those things. It's the thing of like slow acting movies where it's like it takes time to like build up like to the point where it's like the words coming out of my mouth is not doing justice by how I feel about this movie. It's
definitely like it takes its time in a lot of places.
Yeah,
and
it takes its time.
I really felt that when I found out that like this was only a few minutes longer than Mononoke, like it kind of like shocked me because I never feel that when I watch Princess Mononoke, like never. And the like other movies have like this have been in of that similar length, and I just don't feel that. But with this one, I definitely did.
I can feel the 2 hours. I feel me sitting down and watching this movie for 2 hours as opposed to Mononoke where I sit down and it doesn't feel like time has passed.
Yeah, that one moves a lot quicker.
It takes its time with building its story and moving its pieces precisely.
Yeah.
It just, with the timing of everything, it didn't entice me enough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying.
By all means, am I saying this is not a good movie? It is. It is a beautiful movie. Is a well a well-written story behind it, it's just not a movie for me.
Yeah, I feel pretty similar to that. It's just not my thing. It's definitely a better movie than Big Hero 6, which it lost the Oscar to.
That I can't agree
Big
with.
Hero 6 is a good movie. It's just not a great movie.
I would argue Big Hero 6 is a fun movie. I don't consider it a good movie, but that is a battle for another time, I would imagine. Look like we're about to end, but this will be the only movie from Isao Takahata, at least as director, that we're going to be going over in this Ghibli July. So I would like very much to end on the man himself. And from what my research thinks, about around 2009, Mr. Takahata was told to stop smoking. To the point where Takahata's doctors were actually going to Miyazaki and to Toshio Suzuki and say, hey, if he is your friend, tell him to stop smoking. And they that was kind of the I think that may have been the impetus to getting this work done, because again, this was an idea that he had going back to Toei almost 55 years prior to it getting it finally produced. Isao Takahata passed away, I believe, April 5th, 2018, at a eulogy for his fellow co-creator, his colleague, and I have to imagine his friend. Hayao Miyazaki spoke the following: "I thought Paku-san, which was the nickname for Takahata, would live until 95 years old. Then Paku-san passed away. This made me feel that I have not much time left. I wonder if in the last couple of movies, particularly The Boy and the Heron, if that was not the impetus for Hayao Miyazaki to get his final stories out there before he actually retires." With that said, we are going to be doing a lot with Miyazaki's throughout the rest of this month, but if there is a final point that I would like to make, it is simply this. Isao Takahata, if he does not exist, there would be no Studio Ghibli.
He is as integral as Miyazaki is.
Yeah.
Yes, for all his greatness, and it is well deserved. Hayao Miyazaki is the flag bearer for Studio Ghibli, but without Takahata, I don't think you have and it was mentioned before, Miyazaki, I don't think goes down the avenues that he goes in the stories. Those stories we get in part because of Isao Takahata. We have 3 more left this, and there is a catalog of dozens to go out there and look at. Don't just focus on the Hayao Miyazaki films. Please look at Mr. Takahata's films because they are exquisite. And on that note, I would just say, rest in peace, Takahata-san. Your legacy is sound.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, with that, the bus is coming into the station this week. We are going to eschew from our regular promos and just say to all of our friends in podcasting and to all of you passengers out there, thank you very much for joining us tonight, today, or tomorrow. The next time we are going to be meeting with us, we are going to be going over Princess Mononoke as the 3rd movie in our Ghibli July. But until then, this bus is firmly parked. And then once more around the room, my name is James McCarthy.
I'm Ethan Skinner.
I'm Brady Davis.
We are travelers on the Omnibus. Thanks for stopping by and enjoying the ride.